And welcome back to Holistic Healthline, your direct line to great health. And we are so pleased to have back as our guest Dr. Jim LaValle, a clinical pharmacist and board-certified clinical nutritionist and heart health expert, joining us today to talk about Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract from Waukanaga of America. I'm going to be talking about some of the research studies and articles, that new stuff that has come out regarding the benefits of aged garlic extract, and particularly right now with COVID-19 going on. And the more we can protect our arteries and the connection between high blood pressure and diabetes and prediabetes affecting patients who do get COVID-19 definitely worsens the problem. So, Jim, welcome to Holistic Healthline.
Hi, how you doing today?
Good.
Jim, we did. Kyolic has put out a lot of studies over the years, probably more than any other company I can think of. But they got some new studies that are telling us some very interesting things. What do you got?
Well, it's the truth. It's, when you think of it over the last, 40 years, 800 and I think now 70 publications related to aged garlic extract and its effect on human health, right? I mean, I don't know of another dietary supplement company that puts that kind of effort into research. So the latest research, I found it to be striking, and it really does apply to this whole kind of new COVID world, because we know that people that are at risk, like diabetics, like people that are obese, like people that have hypertension and other comorbid conditions, they're the folks that are more at risk. And so we got to figure ways, how can we be more preventative? So this was released, this was a May study that they released, and it was about people with type 2 diabetes. And it's something I've been talking about for a long time. People with type 2 diabetes have the equivalent of a low-grade inflammatory response in their body at all times. So basically, they have a low-grade infection, going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they end up having more oxidized cholesterol. And when you oxidize cholesterol, that is like rusting your cholesterol. It's what causes calcification, creates plaque. You start to make vulnerable plaque. And that, obviously, as that plaque builds up, it puts them at more risk for a cardiac event. And as we all know, people with diabetes, everybody with diabetes basically ends up with heart disease if they don't manage their diabetes. You don't say the same thing about people with high blood pressure, right? That might go up due to stress or for other reasons. But people with diabetes, their immune system is attacking tissues. So the first study on diabetics looked at, what happens to the health of arteries. And so it was a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized trial. 65 people that were diabetic either took aged garlic extract or placebo for 3 months. And what they showed at the end of 3 months is that there was less arterial stiffness. So they can measure how stiff your arteries are, right? So less arterial stiffness, that means the pliability or the flexibility of the artery came back, and the endothelial function improved. So for people listening, endothelial function is kind of how inflamed the inner lining of the artery is. Are there a lot of bad actor lipids and inflammatory processes that are damaging that endothelium, or is it getting healthy? And what they showed is that, without a doubt, you take aged garlic, your arteries are less stiff, and the endothelium is healthier. That's why I take it all the time. I'm a believer. Right? It's amazing. The second study, what they found, they looked at soft plaque. So soft plaque is the plaque that literally can break off, and it can create a stroke or an embolism, and it's a really a high risk plaque. So, and they showed this by doing what they call a cardiac computed tomography angiography. So what's that? Well, they basically take a picture, and they can take a look at how that vulnerable plaque's looking. 2,400 milligrams of aged garlic a day versus a placebo. What they showed was there's a significant reduction in soft plaque. I mean, that's unheard of in a dietary supplement, and they're doing it in humans. These aren't mouse blood vessels. You know, these are studies in human beings.
This is why Jim is one of our favorite guests of all time, because he takes these complicated issues and breaks them down so even I can understand them.
You're fantastic. I was just reading recently that in the British Medical Journal from July 2020, that in patients with a history of heart disease and prediabetes was associated with a 36% increase risk of all causes of mortality and a 37% increased risk of cardiovascular disease over an average of 3 years. That's pretty significant.
Well, so my whole family's diabetic. You know, I mean, literally my father, my grandmother, all my uncles, Italian family, just it's in our genes. And you know, I'm 60 years old now, and I've watched this process play out. And it really does. I mean, there's some estimates that say you could live as much as 12 years less if you're an uncontrolled diabetic. So it's taking a decade off your life. So it's something else. Now, the other thing that they showed on this, which I think was amazing, is they looked at, in people with type 2 diabetes, your left ventricle grows. It thickens because your heart has to work harder, so it's a muscle. And your left ventricle gets thickened. And it's called left ventricular hypertrophy. Hypertrophy meaning the left ventricle is growing, right? And so this is, bad news, because it leads to things like heart failure and tachycardias and all kinds of problems. Well, this was an unbelievable study. They give aged garlic to individuals or placebo, and it literally reduced the size of the left ventricle over the length of the study. As a 1.65% reduction. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but there are billion-dollar drugs that are trying to do this. So this is not a small finding, that it actually it's called remodeling of the left ventricle, where you're getting the ventricle back to its normal size, so it actually pumps with better force. Because it's weird, unlike other muscles, like if your biceps get bigger, you can lift more, right? But with your heart, when it grows like that, it becomes less efficient and it labors more. So protecting that. So when you combine this, the plaque burden goes down. The blood vessels get more pliable and more flexible. The inner linings of the arteries get improved. And you protect your heart from like the left ventricle growth due to how hard your heart's happen to pump to put the blood through your arteries because they're less pliable. It's a trifecta, right? I mean, it really is elegant the way they tethered together the research to show the various aspects of what Kyolic can do. And look, guys, that's just 3 of the studies, right? There's still 2 more we got to discuss. So it's pretty amazing that all 3 of these came out at one time.
And not to mention, over the years, we have talked about all the things that this aged garlic extract does, as far as it can lower blood sugar and blood pressure and boost immune function and good for the digestive system. And I mean, it goes on, and it sounds too good to be true, but the science is there.
Jim,
look, you got Dr. Budoff and Dr. Reed, and you got leading researchers publishing it. So you're right. I mean, that's what's fantastic, is the evidence is clear and it's in humans.
And with the number of people out there, yes, unfortunately in America, there's a lot of people with diabetes. There's also, a lot of people with heart disease, but there's a lot more people out there with pre-diabetes that, don't even know that they really have a problem, because the doctors don't seem to be mentioning it to them until they finally get into the diabetic range. But pre-diabetes, the blood sugars are up a little bit higher than normal on a regular basis. Plus, their triglycerides tend to be elevated. When we get back from break, I want you to talk a little bit again about how if you can utilize the aged garlic extract at that stage, you won't even get into the other stages that are so detrimental. Jim, again, there's so many people out there right now that have pre-diabetes, that they're at that beginning stages, and the doctors are waiting for them to get into the diabetic range in order to do something about it, where we have something like the aged garlic extract could be so beneficial.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's staggering, the numbers, right? 38% of the U.S. population is pre-diabetic. Another 12 to 13% is diabetic. That's of all adults in the U.S. And then almost half of U.S. adults are considered hypertensive. So think about that. This is, you walk out the door, every 1 out of 2 people have a chronically inflamed immune system. This is why we're in the big trouble we are, I believe. One of the reasons we're in big trouble with the current pandemic is a lot of people are walking around unknowingly on fire with their immune system, right? And so, yes, get on it earlier, adopt a lifestyle of eating healthier as best you can, right? Everybody's got a different version of that, but, make some better choices. Pick up a stick of broccoli instead of a nacho once in a while, right? And even though nacho is okay, I'm not going to say they're okay, but broccoli more. And the other piece is you got to move a little bit. And so if we start to combine lifestyle habits with the power of key nutrients like Kyolic, I think we can make a big dent in how people are going to live their life, and literally create a healthier health span for them instead of lifespan. The last 20 years on a diabetic, if they're poorly controlled, is not all that exciting. They have kidney issues, circulatory issues, heart issues, eye issues, dementia, right? These are serious things that hit people. And you know what? Life creeps up on you. So the other study that was big is they looked at 12 studies with over 500 people with high blood pressure. And what they found was when they gave aged garlic extract, it dropped an average of 8.3 systolic blood pressure. So the top number drops 8.3 millimeters of mercury, and the diastolic dropped an average of 5.5. And I've even seen some of the studies where it dropped the systolic 11 points. But the reality there is when they looked at these findings, that meant that you would receive between a 16 to 40% drop in your risk of having a heart attack or stroke. That's incredible. And then in addition to that, what they found out is that when these folks were taking aged garlic, it was acting as a prebiotic, and it was actually helping to improve gut diversity. And I happen to think that's really important to reduce inflammatory signaling in the body, is to have healthy gut flora and not have, the unfriendly or dysbiotic flora, which is, now over the last 5 years, finally, conventional medicine is going, holy cow. I was going to say holy crap, but I thought that would be kind of, so not quite right. So, holy cow. The issue is that when the dysbiotic or unfriendly flora predominate, we make more inflammatory compounds that circulate around in our body and damage our blood vessels and damage our tissues. And so all the more reason on this particular study that it's important to recognize the fact that not only is it affecting blood vessels through, the dynamics of softer, more pliable blood vessels, less plaque, but now we're reorganizing, we're remodeling the immune system because of its effect on the gut. And look, there's studies that show that it even helps people with colds and flus. So, I mean, it's a very dynamic ingredient that's backed by tremendous research. And I think we're still learning about why it does what it does, because I think the microbiome diversity is incredibly important.
Now, Jim, the Kyolic makes a wide variety of various supplement formulas that all have the aged garlic extract as the main ingredient in there, but then they add some other things to help very specific issues. The two supplements that we have found to be really beneficial, kind of targeting what we're talking about today, is the Kyolic 109 blood pressure formula and the Kyolic the blood sugar balance formula, and the two in conjunction together kind of addresses what we're talking about today.
Well, you know what? That's a really good way to use Kyolic formulas. I a lot of times when I talk to folks, they'll say, well, what one formula should I use? And I think the power of this is when you begin to combine a couple of these formulas together to get, you want to get plenty of aged garlic in you on a daily basis, in my opinion. I think the closer you can get to 2,400 milligrams a day, the better off you're going to be. So when you look at Formula 109, because it's got suntheanine in it, which helps with, calming you down. It's got nattokinase in it, which nattokinase is really interesting in terms of keeping your blood from getting too sticky. And then, you have two capsules as 400 milligrams of aged garlic. Well, you know what? I can do 2 of these twice a day, and I'm going to get plenty of nattokinase. I'm going to get a nice start on my aged garlic. And then you go to the blood sugar balance, and now you have the same kind of opportunity. In 2 capsules, you're getting 600 milligrams a day. So as long as you can get, and all the research is between 1,200 and 2,400 milligrams a day. Now, the benefit on that blood sugar balance is, you've got bitter melon extract in it. It's got chromium in it. And of course, just aged garlic has an effect on blood sugar because it increases this compound in your body called adiponectin. And adiponectin, you can think of it as a key to help unlock your insulin receptors and make them work better. All right. So when you combine these two together, it's brilliant. That's a really great strategy because you're getting a diverse array of nutrients that are targeting blood sugar, targeting blood vessel health.
The Kyolic is, we've talked about it again in the past. It's to me, it's the closest thing to a panacea. It's and in natural health, you always got to worry about being labeled snake oil. Oh, we got the cure-all here. But Kyolic
it does have a pretty broad range, though, right? It's kind of one of those compounds that it's true, right?
Can you comment just a little?
Look, the last study, because I don't want to get off. I know I'm short on time, but the last study that they did in Europe, I think was amazing, where they took and looked at lifestyle, diet, and genetics. All right, lifestyle, diet, and genetics, and what they found is that no matter what your lifestyle, your diet, or your genetic predisposition was, there was. And what they did, as I said, was 80% precision, on a coronary scan, and 74% precision on reducing blood pressure. Listen to this data: 3 times more likely to have lower blood sugar levels, and 2.56 times less likely to have lowered interleukin-6 levels. Now, why interleukin-6? It's called IL-6. Lowering that is, I've been researching IL-6 for 20 years. It is the bad actor inflammatory cytokine of your immune system. You need some of it. It's good to have it. That's why your body makes it. But when you make too much of it, it rips through your body like a forest fire out of control, right? So it lowers your lowers blood sugar and much more less likely to make inflammatory compounds, which actually is really important in those pre-diabetics. I had to mention that last study because, once again, who's doing 5 studies at a time on a natural compound?
And I can tell you that since the beginning of all of this occurring, one of the supplements that we have been utilizing personally, both Dr. Jansen and myself, as well as our family, and recommending to patients and listeners, is the Kyolic 103 immune formula. I think is an awesome combination.
Great formula. I have so many folks that have given me, just consumers, patients that have given me testimonials regarding that. I think it's an outstanding formula. And, everybody's got to be concerned about what can I do to maintain my health now. For all the tragedy that's happened with this pandemic, the thing that I think is the ray of hope is that a lot of people are waking up and saying, I need to take responsibility for my health. And, adding the COVID-15 is not the way to take responsibility for your health. having virtual happy hours is not the way to take responsibility for your health. Try to exercise and eat better, and go out and get yourself a bottle of aged garlic extract. It could be life-changing for you.
Well, we want to thank you so much. Unfortunately, ran out of time. We love talking to you, Jim, and we hope that we can talk with you again, and we want you to stay safe.
Thank you, and same for you guys. All the best.
Thanks, Jim. Take care.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, again, this is where, if we can't rely on the system. We have to start taking action ourselves to keep ourselves as healthy as possible.